Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the D Hope podcast. And this is going to be a spectacular one. So, we are very excited to have Miss Sonya with us today. New last name samples. So we are just an incredible woman of God who has a powerful testimony that she is going to share with us. Um, and so, Sonia, we just turn it over to you. We give you the floor to just speak openly, honestly about your resilient testimony because it is one of resiliency. So take it away.
Thank you so much for
You're
this, Donna and
welcome.
Hope. Um, so yeah, back in 2019, I think I found myself in jail for I don't know how many times, but knowing I needed to change, um, began reaching out to things very early to try to fill voids, and unfortunately, drugs ended up being one of my last things. So in 2019, October 2019, found myself at a crossroads of prison or begging for a chance at rehab. I'd never been to rehab before, but I knew that there had to be a change. I had burned every bridge in my life, destroyed bridges with my family, lost everything. I had a career in nursing, ended up losing my nursing license, divorced, just estranged from everyone, um, and needed a change. And so the Foundry was the place where God met me at my worst. Um, so, yeah, no matter where we've been or what we've done, the Lord's always there. And
Amen.
I thought that it was a get out of jail free card. And actually it was like a prison that I had placed myself. Um, but within the first couple of weeks of being there and realizing that, you know, these people really cared and there was a way out and that recovery and redemption was possible. Um, I started the process of surrendering um, addiction and issues and different things to the Lord. It wasn't an automatic thing for me. Some people have those stories where, oh, I just gave it all to the Lord at one time, but that wasn't me. It was a process. Um,
Yes.
I grew up in church. My dad was a deacon my entire life. I have a twin sister. So I had, the Lord saved me at the age of 9. Um, I knew all about the Bible. Like I'd sat under it my entire life.
Yes.
Um, I got saved at 9 there, but I never pursued a relationship, an intimate walk with the Lord. Um, and the Foundry was a safe place for that. That's where I learned that how to build a relationship and how to earn trust and to really rely on the Lord in every aspect of my life. Um, my first encounter with Miss Donna, she was my counselor. I remember like pleading my case with you, Miss Donna. I remember telling you everything that I knew about the Bible and everything that I knew about the Lord. And, like I thought, I've got this. Like, I can manipulate this whole thing. Like, I just need to get through this year. And I remember you looking at me saying, well, I know what you said, but you should forget everything that you think you know. Because obviously I had gotten it wrong somewhere. I mean, because look where I was at. My best thinking
Yes.
ended me up in jail and rehab. So, um, but yeah, so I felt like each and every day that passed in each class, because I was devoted. I decided when I went in there that this was my last chance. I had to do
Yes.
this. My family, I deserved it. That took a while to realize, but I
Yes.
deserved it, and my family did. They deserved to have me back. I felt like, and so
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's when my life began to change. Um, for the better. Hope and I met
Absolutely.
in rehab. We've been best friends since. Uh, we I moved to the second floor the same day that she moved in, and we moved in the same room together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had been there 4 weeks, and I was so excited, and she was not. Oh, she was so not. And I was like, it's gonna be okay. And she wouldn't speak for the first day or day and a half. Like she was in there doing yoga, like some crazy person.
Yeah, I remember that. You're like, she'll come down in a couple of days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't know, we
She'll figure
built
out
this.
what she's here for.
Yeah, that is hilarious. Yeah.
Oh, I will never forget it. Like there are so many great memories. Like, but I went into rehab not thinking at first I did because I was listening to a few others. It was a jail sentence, you know? And then I realized very quickly that that's not how I should view, because it wasn't a sentence. Like that was, who gets a chance to sit under, like, I guess, I wanted to say Bible school, like for real, for adults for a year. Like it was almost like a lock away safe place to really learn how to cope and deal with situations without using a substance, and to
Yes.
rely on the Lord. That was,
Yes.
and it took a minute. Like I think it takes all of us when we first go in a minute to realize that that's really what rehab is. Like if you go to a faith-based rehab, then that's what it is. Like you were learning, you were blocked away from the outside influences and learning to deal with your emotions and the things that come at you um, in a healthy, positive way, and finding the Lord in everything. Um, so, yeah, I'm very appreciative for that ministry and what it has done for my life. And meeting Hope, we still, I feel like, have the best relationship.
Mhm.
She's truly my best friend and has been there for
Yeah.
me um, through a lot of hard times since coming home. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. So when do you feel like, Sonya, that it switched for you from being like the sentence to,
Mhm.
oh, this is what like I get to do to help save my life.
So Miss Betsy Kopecky taught a class. The first week I was there, um, the Shepherd's Look at the 23rd Psalms was a book.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I think that I realized that the Lord wasn't someone who was up there ready to condemn me every time I messed up. Like I don't know, I didn't know how, I didn't feel like I knew how to pray, but the Lord knew how to speak to me through that. And so I think within the first week or so, really, like everything kind of flipped for me. Um, it'd been a long time though since I had um, been unmedicated. And
Right.
so being able to feel things, having those emotions, I had numbed out for so long. And so when that was taken away, when I went to the foundry, like the Lord really started working on that part of me very early. So I think within the first week or so, especially after sitting under her teaching that week, I just remember sobbing. I couldn't even take notes during her class. Like I wanted
Yeah.
to, but so yeah. And then from that point on, like I just really devoted myself
Mhm.
to learning about the Lord and
Mhm.
learning how to recover correctly.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were reintroduced
Yes.
to
Yes.
your father, to your father in heaven through Jesus Christ. And that's amazing.
I struggled with that. But I remember us talking about this because I was like, I've always heard my whole life that people who are saved, they just can't slip like that. Like there's no way that the Lord saved you at such an early age and you to mess up that bad. But he did, and he reassured me of that. And we spoke on that, you and I did, and you told me
Yeah.
you had a salvation experience early on as well, but your
Yes.
mind was not renewed until you were older. And that made such
Right.
perfect sense to me. And so that whole thing that I had thought I heard through my whole life, like I figured was, that which wasn't true, because the Lord settled in me that he did save me. And I feel like that's the only reason that he spared my life through that whole thing, was that I
Yeah.
was one of his.
Right.
And that he chased after me. I mean, I remember begging him, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Every time that I was in danger or my life was in danger, I would be arrested. It was always the Lord
Mhm.
sent the police. I felt like the Lord
Yeah.
sent them there for me. But I
Yeah.
thought at the time that was a curse. When I'm looking back now, I'm like, that had to be the Lord's hands. Like, I see it
Yeah.
all throughout, even in my darkest times. Like, I can still see his hand throughout everything. And
Yes.
so I was reassured that he did save me at the age of 9. However, I just never pursued a relationship
Right.
until I was 39.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
30 years, but it's there now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's such a testament to, like those of us who did grow up in church, and we did learn a little bit,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we accepted him early, but like for me, I say it this way, like I don't know that either I wasn't listening or it
Yeah.
just wasn't taught to
Yeah.
me about developing that relationship.
Yeah.
Because that's the relationship that dictates all of the other relationships in my life.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and when we're, if we live in isolation, because a lot of times that's what we're doing, like you were saying, you just
Mhm.
wanted him to leave you alone. But
Mhm.
it's like he's like, no, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
I can't leave you alone because number one, you accepted me a long time ago. You belong
Yeah.
to me. And so I chase those that I love.
Mhm.
And he's like, and we don't always understand the chasing that he
Mhm.
does for us, but it's because he loves us so much, because
Yeah.
he is our shepherd, and he doesn't want us to, live the way that we're living, but he understands that until they can learn better,
Mhm.
until they can truly learn better, they're not going to be able to do better. And sometimes I 100% believe that you come into the foundry was absolutely no accident.
Oh, no.
You
No.
know,
So when I asked the judge for rehab, they actually put me with a rehab here in my hometown. And so I was let go at the jail and had a couple of weeks to get into rehab. Um, I went there and I want to say it's not the right place. It wasn't. But I went on another binge before my actual date to go to rehab. So I found myself in a crisis center in Tennessee, which is really crazy to me, and asking for help, like rehab. And she said, we had success with one person. We've only sent somebody there one time. She said, but maybe we should try this. And she gave me the number to the foundry. And I called, and I had to go back to court to have that change. But it's not by accident that I ended up there. It's
yeah.
really crazy at how all the way in Tennessee they sent me, because there were so many others that we tried to contact, and everybody was full, and
Yeah.
then it was no accident. Like, the foundry was my place for recovery.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
that divine intervention, I think, that God does in our lives. Like you said, even when you got arrested, if I can look back now, it didn't feel like that at the time, but I feel like that was protection.
Yeah.
That was God intervening to save my life and to redirect me.
Yes.
And yeah, I definitely think that, God's ways are a lot higher than ours. And a lot of times we don't understand, but, um, even just meeting you guys, I mean, the people that we come in contact with, I think a lot of that, God has a hand in.
Yes.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Absolutely. Because he knew before you guys were even thought of here on
Mm-hmm.
earth,
Hmm.
before we
Hmm.
all were even thought of here on earth, that our worlds would wind
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
colliding at the time that they did.
Yeah.
And like to know how he orchestrates things is so amazing to me.
Hmm.
That the intimacy level that he has with us, and
Yeah.
it takes, it might take us a long time to get to that with him, but he's always had it with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a beautiful thing, to me, that he knows all about us and still
Yeah.
calls us friend,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
still loves us, will never leave us, no matter what
Mhm.
we've done. He doesn't care. Like,
I
Yeah.
know.
he
Yeah.
doesn't care. He's like, I love you, and I know what you're gonna be, you know,
Yeah.
wherever you are, I know what you're gonna be. So I still love you, and I'm still, coaching you and making ways. And like you said, I think it's so wonderful when we can look back on our lives and see
Mhm.
where he's protected us, and even in the times when we thought like, man, this is rough, or this
Yeah.
is a horrible,
Hmm.
thing. But I'm like, what he showed me, once was, I used to ask a lot of why me.
Yeah.
Um, and like, I just, everything just seems to happen,
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
like, other people go through life, they don't get caught doing nothing,
Yeah.
you know.
I do
Yes.
one thing and I get caught.
Yes, yeah, I do
Yes.
the first thing I do, and here we go, so
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that? And he, just really clearly showed me that he's like, where my hand has been,
Hmm.
on you this entire time, because I knew what would destroy you and I knew what wouldn't.
Yeah.
So even in the things that I'm like, man, like, why me? Why did I have to go through that? Why did that happen to me? He's like, I was still there, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was still there, and it helps me to connect with the people that I get to, connect with on a
Hmm.
daily basis. So I'm
Hmm.
like, I wouldn't be as relatable if I didn't have those experiences,
Yeah.
that I've
Mhm.
had. So it makes me just go, why not me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, why not me? Yeah. So tell us about what you're up to these days, Sonya.
Well, these days, so I got married, New Year's Eve. Um, right after the foundry, I went home to live with my parents. The Lord restored my relationship with my children and my parents while I was at the foundry. Um, so I came home and moved in with my parents. Still had to turn myself in to jail for absconding charges from probation. However, finishing the foundry, they did not violate my probation. So that was a major blessing.
Yeah.
And then I started to work at one of our local distribution warehouses as a temp um, through a temp agency. It's the only way I could really get hired because of my background. Um, but hard work and dedication. I was hired full time not long after starting there. So, and then not long after that, got another promotion. So I've been with the company almost 4 years. I'll
Awesome.
be celebrating 5 years clean October the 18th. So yes, yay. Um, so yeah, my husband, my dad, we went through some very hard times since coming home.
Mhm.
Um, couple of years ago, my dad was diagnosed with cirrhosis, non-alcoholic cirrhosis. He went into liver failure really quick, and also was going to require a liver transplant and a quadruple bypass at the same time. Um, so I moved my parents to Cleveland, Ohio, where he was accepted into their program. So um, mom and dad and I are very, very close. Through all of that, it would be easy for me to think, Lord, I'm living this very obedient, surrendered life to you. Why? Because why is my dad who has served you his whole life? He was a deacon, my mom, like, why is our family being hit so hard? But we didn't. We really relied on the Lord through all of that. We knew that there was a greater purpose for all of this, and as rough as it was, I think our faith grew even more during his sickness. But I called hope. It was like, I'm losing my only support system. I felt like my children got married. And of course they were supportive, but I was so close to mom and dad because we lived together. I'd been through every step of dad's sickness and being there for mom, and knowing that I was going to have to move them off hundreds of miles away, for him to be able to be on their transplant list in Cleveland, Ohio. I was going to be alone. My kids were married, and what was I going to do? That was difficult. But Hope flew down or drove down from South Carolina and helped me move them from Alabama to Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
Massive road trip. But we got them moved. And so my dad was on the list up there on the transplant list for 5 weeks. I was in the process of going through the testing to be a donor for him. Despite my background, we were given the go-ahead for me to be tested. I went through all kinds of psychological tests and counseling and all of that, and was in our last phase of me being approved when Dad got a deceased donor liver. So March 29th of last year, he got his liver and had quadruple bypass at the same time. We met with the surgeon. They'd been doing this surgery for a while and they had 37, I think it was, successes, because it was very rare to have heart surgery and a whole organ transplant at the same time.
Yeah.
But he made it through. Very stressful time for a month, I think. Mom and I was traveled had made numerous road trips up there. But they came home June 9th of last year, and on June the 10th, they celebrated their wedding anniversary, 46 years. Oh, so he is living his best life.
Amen.
To say the least.
Yeah.
But during that time, when they came home and I didn't need me anymore, I started to begin to really soul search. I had shunned the whole idea of finding someone else, a mate for myself, dating. I didn't do that. I think that I had put my mom and dad through so much in my lifetime that they constantly worried about me, and I just didn't want. They had been through so much, so I thought, for my sake and for their sake, searching for someone just wasn't an option for me. And I was like, the Lord's just going to have to really drop him if there is somebody at my door.
Yeah.
And he did. No, my husband's mother and father and my mom and dad have been friends for years, really close. I'm close to his sister. We all go to church together. And Eric and I had never met. Our families know each other so well. And we finally met. And I promise it was love at first sight, I feel like. We got married New Year's Eve. So it's been an adjustment moving from home and with him and his sons, but every day's an adventure, and we are celebrating life every day.
Amen.
Yeah, so good. Yeah.
So the way you guys met, your families being friends and stuff for years, it really sounds biblical to me.
It does. I know.
How they the families used to be meet the person, and then they would come together. So I'm like,
yeah, it is. It really is. He had just started coming to church with us, his family and we all go to church together. But he had just started there. And I told my mom just a couple of days before we started talking, I was like, well, if I'm going to meet somebody, it'll have to be at church because
Yeah.
work's not an option and I don't go
Yeah.
anywhere. So we did. We said hi in the church parking lot. Like,
yeah.
but since we have been together, like I've watched him grow in the Lord. Really, it's amazing. And I'm also watching his sons, like they're dedicated and
Yeah.
everyone's at church every time the doors open. There's no question. Like we don't even talk about it. Like we're just there and
Yeah.
watching them pray together or seeing us worship together. There's just nothing like it. Being able to have conversation, meaningful conversation, and about the Lord and sharing experiences and scripture. Like it's just something that I never knew I needed until the Lord blessed me with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being able to feed each other spiritually has been amazing. Amazing.
Yes. I'm so glad that just life is on the
Yeah.
uptick.
Yeah.
Has been on the uptick for you because I know like at the time that you guys were there, that was a rough time for the foundry because COVID came through and just
Mm-hmm.
did a number. But to see you guys hang in there
Yeah.
and stick it, and stick it out. Like during that time, people did have the option, they had the option to stay or to go,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was either and to like to stay and then stay with the program and then come back
Mm-hmm.
when you had the opportunity to come back. But just I think when you can make it through something like that and you're in active recovery, and I think I say active recovery, but I think we're all in active recovery
Yeah.
all the time, from something or another. But and not in the sense of saying that, oh, if it's not one thing it's another. No, like recovery is an ongoing it's an ongoing process.
Mm-hmm.
Developing that relationship with the Lord is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
Like it's the same that like we have with people. We're going to be constantly getting to know people. Like there's you can know someone for 30 years and learn something new about them. So I think that's how I like to approach the relationship with the Lord too. Is going to be an ongoing thing. He's going to constantly be teaching me about me as well as I'm constantly learning about him.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing that we have that longevity and can
Yeah.
have longevity. Yeah. So tell us more about your friendship with Hope, like how that continues to develop and blossom.
Oh my goodness. Hope and we communicate every day now. That she is on the road in the mornings. And I'm on the road in the mornings going to work. So we still have our daily talks most days. But I never knew I needed a Hope either. Like it's always, she can bring me down a notch or lift me up, like,
Yeah.
battling things now that as far as like, getting to know someone. It's been a long time since I lived with somebody,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
that, having to consider, somebody else's feelings or emotions. So Hope has been a big support for me, since I've been married too. Since I got married. I told her not too long ago, I'm so glad she went through marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Because I'm benefiting from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you
It's a
can
great
thank Miss
thing.
Donna for that too,
Yes, she's
because
a good
I have to
counselor.
say, Miss Donna has really, really influenced I guess how I respond to Eric and to just things that you just battle in marriage. Miss Donna has definitely helped me.
Yeah. So thank you, Miss Donna. You've helped
So
me.
thank you, because what I just whatever I learn, I just kind of share.
Yes. That's what we're supposed to do,
Yes, it is.
correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
think it's it's really I love now that I think there's a different, like there's a, we Sonya and I and Miss Donna and I feel like the longer that we know each other, there's just a more intimate conversations, and it's really beautiful to just watch. I love having women in my life that I can actually be honest with,
Mhm.
Yes.
because I was never honest with myself.
Mhm.
um and I guess I was always afraid of being judged or how I was going to be looked at. But now I love the fact that I can be honest with Miss Donna. I can be honest with you, Sonya. I
Mhm.
mean, even when it's not pretty, right? There's
Yeah.
still those parts of our lives that we always continuously need to work on. And I have such a positive support system, and the fact
Mhm.
that y'all do follow the Lord, and so there's a different spiritual element, and I feel like God really uses y'all in my life. He uses people, and I feel like that goes back to that divine intervention of placing people
Yeah.
in our lives that we need.
Mhm.
I mean, I know that I wouldn't be where I am today had I not had like you guys.
Mhm.
Because y'all have seen me at my worst, and y'all have been there the whole time, and just really helped me navigate areas in my life when I struggled, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Same
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm appreciative because like that I learned from you guys too.
Mhm.
Like, and so like it's a mutually beneficial, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
um relationship because we do learn from each other and can be like, hey, this is what's going on, or this is, hey, can be honest,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
and it's such a beautiful thing to be able to do that without fear,
Yeah.
because that's a lot of times that's what people's issue is, and they don't, sometimes they know it and don't want to just admit it that, hey,
Mhm.
I'm fearful of people knowing about me and not liking me,
Yeah. Yeah.
or fear of rejection. And what I've learned about rejection is, I have no control over
This
Oh,
is true.
that's
it.
good.
It can
Mhm.
it may happen, and so because of that, I'm going to be okay because God knows who needs to be in my life and who doesn't. you
Mhm.
know
I like that
Really,
perspective.
yeah,
Mhm.
their rejection may be His protection over me. um
Absolutely.
so I just look at it that way, and thank Him for loving me so much to keep me away from what I don't need to go near, 'cause we don't always
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
don't really feel like I had prior to the my experience with the Foundry and all that. I don't know if I really trusted and really had a solid friend foundation of
Mhm.
people who I really trusted with I guess with my life, really,
Hmm.
because I feel like y'all do know me. um
Yeah.
and so, and it's such a relief too to be able to be vulnerable, and to know that I'm unconditionally loved. I guess that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Absolutely. Because on the in the Genesis process that we are
Mhm.
all familiar with,
Yeah.
the false beliefs, like the first
Mhm.
one is I can't
Mhm.
trust him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what makes that false is the anyone. Like,
Mhm.
I haven't I haven't encountered everybody,
Oh,
Mhm.
that's
there
good.
may be, yeah, a few
Oh, I
people in my
remember you
life,
telling me this.
yeah,
Mhm.
that I couldn't
Yes.
trust them, so I have to look at what are the facts. Yeah, like there were a
Mhm.
handful of people that I couldn't trust,
Mhm.
but it's like who can I trust now? So now I say it this way, like what happened for me, because that was a big one for me. I can't trust them.
Mhm.
And when I started my relationship with Christ, and start learning from him. And as I learned more about him, I learned more about me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned was that I was as much as I was independent and wanted to be independent, I was very dependent on people. And
Mm-hmm.
because I was dependent on them, that was what was devastating me every time I was let down,
Mm-hmm.
because my dependence was in the wrong place. And
Mm-hmm.
so once I learned to depend on God fully, now I don't see it like I don't have to trust people. Like I don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
have to. It's like I don't. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. It's not going to devastate me because my
Yeah.
dependence isn't on people. It's
Mm-hmm.
on God and
Mm-hmm.
the people that He brings across my path and that I connect with and continue to connect with. That is there. It's a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
A
Yeah.
bonus to my life, and in any way that I can add value to somebody else, that's what I want to do. But I'm not dependent on
Mm-hmm.
people anymore. So it
Mm-hmm.
really did change my
That's a good way
perspective.
to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that helped me a whole lot. So I'm like, oh, I don't
That
you know
helps with codependency issues too.
yeah, and you
Because
can
you
be
can be,
vulnerable then.
yeah,
Yeah, because
when you're
it's not.
codependent and you're blaming and because I've
Yes.
noticed too, like my feelings won't get as hurt anymore because I'm like, okay, well, you can make your own decisions and then, I can make
Yeah.
mine and
Yes.
I don't have to be, it doesn't have to ruin my day. Just
Yes.
because, you're choosing to act a different way.
Yes.
It's that control factor. Like I don't have to
Yeah.
control people.
Yes.
Well, Donna, I remember conversating with you during one of our sessions, one of our last ones, and me saying to you, but I make him feel some type way. And you
Hmm.
looked at me and said, honey, you're not that powerful. You can't make somebody do something. And that has stuck with me. Like,
That's
you
so
know,
good.
it is. That has stuck with me since then because I'll hear people say, well, he just made me so mad. And I'm like, well, stop giving him the power.
Power.
Like,
Yes.
that you
Mhm.
have it was so freeing to me. It was like my eyes were opened when I realized that I'm the one who allow these things to happen. I'm the one who
Hmm.
allow my emotions to kick in, and just refusing to give that other person the power over
Mhm.
me and over my
Yes.
emotions was so freeing. It was so simple, yet I didn't never knew it until
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I give what God has given me, and He had to
Yeah.
give it to me simple because
Yeah.
I can't do complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's how he's like, listen, this is
Yeah.
it's not all. He's told me it's not all about me. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that powerful.
Didn't that hurt your
powerful.
feelings? Like it
Yeah,
hurt my
yeah.
feelings.
To look at myself,
Yeah.
before I look at,
Yeah.
others. He told me everything was a boomerang. It's just coming right
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
to me. And so that really has helped me to like, I'm like, when I say it's all good, I really mean it. Like it's all
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
people like that's not, this doesn't look good. I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he said so,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I'm like, it's not about what I see, think, or feel. It's about what he says.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Mhm.
like, I have to check myself
Yeah.
before in anything. So I'm like, if I'm resenting somebody, that's me. That's on
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah.
Because the reason I'm resenting him is probably because I haven't addressed whatever needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that again, it comes
Mm-hmm.
back to comes back on me. So he's helped me so much to
Yeah.
get out of that because I was a blamer. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Isn't that the
just
easiest thing to do though, is to
Yeah.
blamed
blame
everybody.
somebody
Yeah,
else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
not doing this. It's your
Yeah.
fault.
yeah. They
Well,
they
if you
didn't
would do
teach
that, you
me
wouldn't have
that.
done that, and I
Yeah,
wouldn't have done this.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you didn't, I wouldn't have. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
you just don't
Mm-hmm.
need to. Like it's not about them. So I say it often. That the way that I treat you is not about you. It's
Yeah.
about what he's told me to do and the character that he's placed in me. And so if I'm trying to go against the character that he's placed in me, that is this trying to take over. And that does not need to take over.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so hard though to get used to living that way, isn't it? Like it is for me. It's a daily struggle. It is. It's a daily struggle.
Yeah, and it can't I can see how it can't, how it can be. But here's what helped me, because I used to hear a lot, like just growing up. I guess it was the way people thought about following Christ or doing, being obedient to God's word. But I used to always hear, like, even with serving at church, that it was work. Like, oh, look, I'm going to work at the church. Yeah. And it's like, that don't sound fun, you know what I'm saying? So just the thought of when I came into a culture of serving others, that was a little different, because it's we're serving others, and I was a person that liked to help people, so that made it more attractive. It wasn't working at the church, it was, we get to serve people, so just the shift in the language for me helped, helped, because it was like, even though I liked most of the jobs I had, it was work. And that felt, it kind of felt weighty. So when that switched for me to, like, oh no, it's service, and then learning that I could not do any of it, anything that God requires of me. Number one, I can't do it apart from him. And I have to have his power to do it. So when I learned that, I thought I was because I was a nice person, and I could get along with mostly anybody, I thought I was loving.
That's good.
Notice I said I thought. Until I came across 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And all of the things that it said love was not, I had those things internally. I was all of the records of the wrongs. 3 strikes, you're kind of out of here. Kind of a thing. And so I was like, I don't think I'm very loving, according to this. And then I came across Matthew 22:34 through 40. So, I thought, putting yourself, not thinking about yourself, not doing things for yourself, that's you being loving too, because you're putting yourself last. Everybody comes before you. Well, that's just not, and that's not how God intended for it to be either. So Matthew 22:34 through 40, they're asking him about the greatest commandment. And he's like, love the Lord your God, all your heart, all your mind, all your soul. And the second is like the first, love your neighbor as yourself. So that puts me in second position. So I had it wrong all the way across the board. So trying to do anything out of me, that's what was hard. That's what was, don't know, because it's like, because I was trying to be just good enough to get, to get God to even just like me, forget about love. But learning that he loved me, period. There was nothing I could do about that. He loved me, period. And okay, now I know how to love, because I have to be connected to love in order to do that. And so when you get kindness from me, I can't be too kind. I can't be too loving. I can't be too full of joy. I can't be too full of peace. I can't be too full of faithfulness, gentleness, all of the fruit of the Spirit. I cannot be too much of that, because that's what he produces in me. So when I'm going off of what he produces in me, I know it's not me trying to do it. It's him doing it through me. So because that gives me the power to do it, then I'm more restful, because it's not my energy, it's not my energy that I'm spending on it. And so, like, he just had to teach me that, because at first it was work, and it was, oh my gosh, following the Lord is so hard. I did. I thought it was like, I'm gonna have to do, because I just thought I'm gonna have to do all these things, you know,
Yeah.
that he requires, of me. But it's like, no, I don't have to do it in my own strength. Oh,
No.
Yeah.
because
Because
I'm like, I don't
he
have
works through us. Yes.
it. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because
Mhm.
I'm like, when I was trying to do it, when I was trying to love people just
I
straight from
think
Donna, couldn't do it.
the battle internally or within is when, um, we do try to do it in our own strength, and
Yeah,
that's when that conflict begins, and
yeah.
it can be a struggle because a lot of times I don't want to respond out of love. I want to respond
Yeah,
because how you just treated me, or
yeah,
your attitude. Like, I don't like your attitude.
yeah,
But
yes,
it's learning, yeah, like you said, it's learning I guess a big thing for me, and I get like now really in my life is trying to communication is real big for me. So
yeah.
communicating in a healthier way, because for so long, even after, like coming home and all of that, I still struggled with communicating effectively.
Hmm.
Where because I would get, well, y'all know, I would get really, really, really in my emotions and feelings when anything happened. um, and it was very exaggerated at times, and sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was like things that definitely would make anyone upset about. But
Yeah,
I think I had to just learn the right way to communicate, because me communicating in an unhealthy manner, just it makes the situation a lot worse than what it could be.
We
yeah,
talked about it before, Hope. I think my frustration is I expect everyone to think like I do,
Oh
and
yeah,
they
yeah,
that's
don't.
and they
good.
don't.
That's good.
Yeah,
They don't. They
yeah,
don't think like I do. And
Yeah,
yes,
I
we
mean,
talk
not saying
about
that
this
I'm
a
right.
lot.
Okay. It is
yeah,
frustrating when we
Mhm.
can't. Why don't you act the way that I act, or respond or react the way that I want you to? Like
yes. And
that is very frustrating.
yeah, that was hard for me too, Sonya, for like, because I did, and I didn't know that I was expecting people to
Yeah,
be me. Like, I really
Mhm.
I
didn't.
didn't either until just
Yeah,
recently.
yeah. It's just like, why don't they just, like, why can't they just? I'm kind. Why can't they be kind?
Yeah.
I'm being nice. Why can't they be nice? And there again, my loving father uh said to me that because they're not you.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're they're not me, and because they're not me, they're not going to act like me. They're not
Yeah.
going to behave like me.
Yeah.
And that was so freeing for me. And I had come across when I was in one of my small groups that I was in. They gave us this. I want to say it was like seven things to like live peacefully or something like that. And the third thing on there was give people the freedom to be who they are, whenever they are, however they are. And it
That's
was
good.
that stuck with me for it was the give people the freedom. And I'm like,
Hmm.
give them the freedom.
Hmm.
How
That's
am I
good.
taking, how am I taking their freedom if I just want them to do what I want them to do? Like, oh, that is taking their freedom to be them. They don't want
Yeah.
to be the way that I want them to be at whatever,
Hmm.
time. But
Yeah.
like Hope was saying, like learning how to communicate
Mhm.
effectively the
Hmm.
what we need, like what
Hmm.
we need, and giving people the opportunity to either meet that or not. It's
Yeah.
their,
Mhm.
is their choice. But whatever their choice is, as long as I've communicated what I need, if I don't communicate that, I can't. Number one, I can't expect you to know
Yeah.
Yeah.
what I need, and a lot of times I've said it before too. They should just know.
Yeah.
They
They
should just
don't. We talk
They,
about this, especially in
yeah
marriage, because um,
yeah
I don't mind like blowing it, calling Eric out.
yeah
And I'm just playing, calling myself out. But we would get in an argument, and I would do the silent treatment, right? Like he knows why I'm upset. And so I
Yeah.
remember one time he walked in and obviously, I'm having bad attitude, okay? And he knows that, obviously I'm upset. And he said, like, what's wrong? And I was like, are you, I'm mad now because he doesn't know why I'm upset. Like, you should know, don't you know?
Yeah, it's like,
And like
no.
in his mind, he has no idea why I'm this upset. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm like, is this like a man thing? Like, I don't know because I feel like you really should get the hints. But that was I learned from you, Miss Donna. It's like, no, you have to tell him in a
Yes.
not in a unhealthy manner, but like, look, this is what's going on. And so it's really benefited like our marriage a lot when now I can just say, and I don't always get it right, but like, this is why I'm upset. And
Yeah.
and he tends to respond better to that instead of me just
Yeah.
having an attitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Because it's
I
like,
heard a pastor from Church of the Highlands preaching, and she was saying, like, you're having issues with your spouse, but what are you feeding them? Like, what are you
mm-hmm.
giving them? So if
Yes.
you're giving them negative or you're giving them always attitude, what do you expect back?
Right.
So it
Right.
made perfect sense. So these things they come back to me
Yeah.
in these situations. And yeah.
Yeah.
But what are we feeding them? And
Yeah.
and
And I'm
not just not just in
yeah.
marriage, but like in everyday life.
In every,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
in
every aspect.
all of our relationships. Yeah. Like,
Mhm.
what am I contributing to this,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
this relationship? And like, that was, for me, because I didn't know how to relate to anybody.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
such, I was horrible at
I
Yeah.
didn't
it.
want to. I
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't
and
And
I
want
love that. I
to
didn't want to.
though.
yeah, I'm like, I'm perfectly fine,
Yeah.
over here, tucked away in my little corner,
Hmm.
by myself. And I realized, and this was a couple of years ago, I realized that I was like, number one, I've never, I've never lived by myself, ever.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I've always had someone with me, you know,
Hmm.
someone with
Hmm.
me, because I had my kids very young. And so I'm like,
Hmm.
I've never lived by myself. So I'm like, I don't know what that looks like to be
Hmm.
in a space, to be in a space, without others. But I know what it looks like to be isolated,
Hmm.
you know, mentally isolated,
Yeah.
and sometimes physically isolated,
Hmm.
because I'm only interacting with the people in my house.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
so, like, no, like, you got to get outside of,
Hmm.
there's a world
Yeah.
outside
Hmm.
of your world. And that is like, a lot of people don't know a whole lot, about me. But like, for from the period of like March 14th to like August 25th, I have a tendency to check out. Um, and I can do what I would, like my routine stuff, but
Hmm.
anything extra, anything, I don't engage a whole lot. And that's something that I've fought for 30 years now. Um, and in 2016, I became aware of it, that, oh, during this time, I kind of check out of life, essentially. Um, and I've since then worked, really hard to not do that.
Hmm.
And sometimes I've succeeded more than others. And I
Hmm.
feel like this year I did not succeed that well,
Yeah.
at it. But I'm like, today I was like, okay, Lord, I've noticed, I've noticed it a couple of, like a month or so ago. I was like, I'm not doing well, with with my engagement level. And I'm like, I need to help me to, to get out of it. Cause I was like, man, at first I was upset about it, cause I was like, I've tried so hard to, to not, but I was like, you know what? It's okay that I had a little bit of a slump. But I'll bounce back. But that isolation, like we can be, you know, totally by ourselves or locked
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
emotionally and not communicate. Hey, I'm, like this is a hard time,
Yeah.
a hard time for me. Or even in marriage when we're not, if we don't tell you what's going on, you know,
Mhm.
how are you gonna know? Like you can't.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna know. You're not me. You don't think like me. You don't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You don't know anything unless I say, hey, you know what? This is a problem. This is
Yeah.
a problem for me. And if you are willing to fix it, if you're willing to work on the behavior, and then I'll see how I'm contributing, like you said, Sonya, to the
Mhm.
behavior, because I can't
Mhm.
leave you out of the equation
Mhm.
as much as I want to,
Mhm.
because there again, I was a blamer
Mhm.
Mhm.
before,
Yeah.
and I have to really catch that even now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm. Yeah.
well, they didn't do, of course, hey, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
who cares
Well, I think that's very
what they
important.
did?
You can't move on if we just won't find our own faults. Like we don't admit it.
Yeah,
When I finally admitted to myself that no one pushed me to do anything, no
Mhm.
one made me do anything. We all have our own choices.
Yeah.
And
yes,
the most freeing part of it is admitting I'm the one who did it. It was me that caused
yes,
this. You know, the Lord forgave, and He says He forgets it as far as the east is from the
yes,
west. But I've asked Him to not let me forget it. Like, always keep me where I am reminded where I came from, but where I'm at right now. But,
yes,
like, you know, we want to blame it. The easiest thing is to point fingers and to
right,
blame everybody else for our actions. But owning up to it and admitting it to me is like growth. That's maturity. That's
Mhm.
yes,
accepting. And then you can start
absolutely,
healing from there. You
Yeah.
can't, I
absolutely,
couldn't heal, I didn't feel like, because I kept blaming. I
Mhm.
yes,
kept pointing the finger at everyone else.
Mhm.
And
yes,
that's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
yes,
And the hardest thing is to forgive ourselves. When that finally starts happening, though, it's amazing at what letting go of those things and how the Lord can really start to bless you in every aspect of your life. And
Mhm.
yes,
people around you don't understand that. They
Yeah.
just really don't. A lot of
mm-mm.
people will look at it and be like, how are things so positive happening to her when this has happened to me? Like, I mean, I live this every day. How is everything so positive happening for her when she lived the way that she lived? They can't see
Uh,
past that. You know,
yeah, it's the
they
grace
can't
of
look past it.
God. Yeah,
Yeah, they
Mhm.
can't. But every day, I always thought I don't have anything to prove to anybody, but I have things to prove to the Lord. I feel like I have to keep my walk with Him close.
Mhm.
And in doing that, and I've made this statement to my husband. In doing that, in walking with the Lord and being obedient and submissive to Him, you are proving something. Like
Mhm.
yeah,
you are
yeah,
proving that you are not that person. That person is dead. I no longer identify with that person. I am redeemed, completely different. Like that's the whole thing. Like when you repent, it's a complete turnaround. I mess
turnaround.
up every
Yeah,
day. I do. I mess up every day. The enemy comes at me in different ways now, not
Yeah.
through addiction, but through
yeah,
other avenues. And so walking faithful and staying pure and clean is the only way that I can recognize the tactics of the enemy. I feel
right.
like I'm
Yes,
Mhm.
not blinded or blindsided by all of that.
Yeah.
yeah,
It happens, and I reach out to Hope, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and
yeah,
anxiety will visit at times, but it doesn't live
Mhm.
here.
right. Yeah,
Depression might try to sneak in, but it doesn't live here anymore. Like,
right,
it doesn't promise that we're not going to see those things, that we won't experience bad, and that we don't
right,
we won't get attacked, but
Mhm.
right.
it gives us the tools and the equipment that we need spiritually to battle. and
Yes.
learning to surrender. And I still want to buck, and I still want to fight against him. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just our human nature.
Nature.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
we still want to take control of situations, and we still want to try to, but I think that I'm so thankful that I had that time away at the foundry, and then at home too, to be able to still pursue, because it's easy when you're in rehab. It feels like it's easy because you have a structure. So the
Mm-hmm.
testing is when you are back home. Can you still maintain that same mindset and
Mm-hmm.
aspect of who the Lord is, and learning to rely on him for your emotional support, your spiritual, like everything in your life. And I fail that every day. Every day I'm finding that there are different things that I'm trying to take control of myself. And but knowing that and being able to recognize it, and learning and leaning in and realizing when I mess up, it's not the end. Like, there's
Right.
Yeah.
forgiveness
Yeah.
every day. Oh my goodness, every day. His mercy's new every day. And
Yes.
I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful that his forgiveness is there no matter what. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
Lord, if you rescued me from what you did in the past, like, you can
You can
forgive
handle
me for
this.
this.
Yeah.
Um, I heard too, the evidence of the Lord's help in the present is his faithfulness in the past. So no
Yeah.
matter
Mm-hmm.
what I face, no matter what I face, I can always go back to those times where he was faithful. And I'm
Amen.
still seeing that in the darkest times since coming home, in dad's sickness, and mom's breakdowns, and my children's lives, like, knowing how faithful he was then.
Mhm.
Um, miracles happen. We just have to look for them. And
Yeah.
that's something I choose to see
Yeah.
every day, is the miracles that he's performed since, for me. Like, some
Yeah.
people don't understand it. They don't,
Yeah.
how is all of this happening? Well, it's the Lord, like, number one, but he's
Yeah.
faithful. He's able to answer your
He's
prayers. He's faithful
so
to get you through
faithful.
everything, no matter what.
Yes.
No matter
He
what.
is.
He knew I would mess up. He knew that after I surrendered, that there would be times that I mess up, that
Mhm.
Yeah.
I push away, that I'm not as close to him. Yet he still chose to rescue me,
Yeah.
and to save me, and to forgive me, and to love me.
Absolutely.
My mind just can't wrap around that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's
And
really hard to
yeah,
understand.
his mind is made up.
I
Like,
know.
just
Yeah.
as you were saying that, that's what came to mind. Like, his mind is made up about
Yeah.
us, and it's
Mhm.
like you can't. There may be some people that can come and tell you something that'll sway your opinion or sway our
Mm-hmm.
opinions of something.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not like that. He's like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I see what they're doing, and I
Yeah.
still, you
I
know,
still love
my
them.
mind
Yeah.
is made up about them. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's when we can believe and trust in that, that's
Yeah.
what gets us to the next. No, like you were saying, like, he's faithful. His faithfulness in the past tells me
Yeah.
that he's going to be faithful today, and that
Yeah.
I can trust him in every single aspect of my life, in every
Mm-hmm.
moment of it. And I ask him this almost daily, to remind me of his presence with me and
Yeah.
his love for me, so that I can walk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I never forget that he's present with me, and don't forget his love for me, then the more I want to, you know,
Yeah.
reciprocate that same love, and
Mm-hmm.
kill, and really daily kill my flesh, because
Yeah.
it does,
Mhm.
it wants to rise up. It does not want to
Yeah.
behave itself. It
Yeah.
wants to do what it wants to do sometimes. And like, I really have to, that's become a practice for me. Like,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
is what I put into practice. So it comes forth a little bit more easily, but it has to happen every day.
Yeah.
Like,
Every
every
day.
every
Mm-hmm.
day I have to get up and decide, okay, who's gonna sit on
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
throne,
Yeah.
today. Is it gonna
Yep.
be me or you, God? And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
choosing you,
Yeah.
because I know what it looks like if I sit up there, and that's
Yeah.
just not gonna turn out well. Um, so I'm like, yes, like you, are there times that, yes, I want to get out of line? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. he never did say that we weren't gonna have trouble, and we
Yes.
don't get to pick it,
No, we
like.
don't.
And so I'm like, okay, that looks like trouble right there.
Yeah.
And here is my thoughts of what I would like to do about that trouble. But he's like, no, that's not the answer
No.
to that. So I have to look to him for every solution
Mhm.
because I don't know. And that's another thing that I remind myself of daily. I don't know.
Mhm.
I say it this way a lot. I'm like, I don't know jack. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know jack. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think it's taking that moment and just trusting him and when we have things come up in our lives. Because I was just feeling, I told Sonya, I was like, I just feel like there's just been so much conflict, and I need to respond and I want to respond in a healthy way, but I just feel like I'm being tested, like I need to keep my mouth shut. And what I found through just different things, I just felt just bringing kind of internal chaos and in my life or whatever was like I went back um to those places which y'all will know of when I was at the foundry, and when a lot of things was going on, and I had to sit with trusting God.
Mhm.
um when I didn't, because I think we want to take control. We want to take control over situations, and sometimes I think God is teaching us in those moments of taking us a step back and trusting Him and His faithfulness to us, because He's faithful, and so if we allow Him to work, he resolves those things in our lives with that
absolutely.
trust that we have for him. I've seen it so many times in my life. When I'm obedient, and when I take a moment and try not to react out of my flesh and just pray like, God, please, you just work this out. He does. And I'm always like, thank you. And I don't know why I get surprised sometimes, because I'm like,
Yeah.
God, you really are just so good,
Yeah.
um because I go back to those places which Sana very well of when I would have my meltdowns. I used to have so many meltdowns when I was at the foundry. In our room, just I would just have to get on my knees, because I felt like, even with the kids and everything, those things were
Mhm.
just so out of my control, and it just
Yeah.
drove me crazy.
Mhm.
And so Sonya sat with me, and we prayed. Like, it was prayer
Yeah.
that really shifted, I think, things
Yeah.
a lot, and continues
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. We both were battling like issues with our children, and
Mhm.
even though mine were older and yours were younger, and family issues, and eh, even though our stories were different, and everyone's story with addiction is different, I feel like it in this, but it's all the same.
It's all
Like
the
we
same.
all, yeah,
Mhm.
we all fell for that avenue that the enemy threw at us. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what we chose. And so we all like can recover the same way, but it has to be through the Lord. Like I don't feel like that there's an answer for recovery other than him. And people have asked me, well, um, I work in recovery. So tell me, like, what did it for you? Like, and I'm like, my relationship with the Lord,
Mhm.
period. Because
Yeah.
if that is in line, and if you have an intimate relationship with him, then everything else will fall into place. So
Yes.
we learned that together, Hope. Like
Yeah,
we
we
did.
did.
We did. We learned
I
that
think that's why
together.
we're sober today, because I mean,
Absolutely.
I know that had I not just really surrendered
Yeah.
and trusted God and started to believe what God said about me and what He wanted for my life, I would have already relapsed years ago,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I
Oh,
had
yeah.
stuff to relapse over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And there's control, like when there's a shift in control, and who
Mm-hmm.
has it, you
Mhm.
know. And to me, it's like you said, Sonya, what am I going to give? What am I giving control over to? Because
Yeah.
that's the question.
Yeah.
Because whatever I choose
Mhm.
to give control over to, that's what's going to have me. And so,
Mhm.
like before, it was a substance that had
Yeah.
control, and
Yeah.
then you shifted that to the one who ideally
Yeah.
would have control because he knows everything. Like
Yeah.
that's the like I say, he has to simplify things for me because
Yeah.
like I said, I don't do complicated. So
Mhm.
it's he's like, why wouldn't you trust the
Mhm.
one who made you, who knows everything about you, who can see way farther than you can see. Like the scope of my vision in these days is not really that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
I was looking at my wrist earlier. I was putting on a bracelet and I was looking at my, I was like,
Oh.
this is very blurry.
Yeah.
Really, this is the rank. I can't see really beyond this without it being blurred.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, like I have no I
Yeah.
Yeah.
have no business trying to be in control of my day or anything at this point. I can't even see.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but he can, but he can. And
Yeah.
I'm like, he already knows he knows my beginning and
Mhm.
my end and all
Mhm.
points in between. So when really, and like I know I say it, I probably say it on every episode. I probably say it every day. And I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna keep saying it because it did. It changed the trajectory of my life. Was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart,
Mhm.
lean not on your own understanding, in all
Mhm.
your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. When I
Mhm.
started living that,
Mhm.
that's when life started turning around for me.
Yeah.
And because I gave up the control, because I was really, I did not, before I wouldn't have told you I had a control issue. I had a control
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
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 I was trying to control a lot, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
people too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Me
you
too.
can't do that. Yeah, like no. And once I gave up that like I don't have control over anything.
Mm.
I don't know much, and I'm not supposed to lean on my own understanding
Mm-mm.
anyway. He told me not to do that.
Mhm.
So once I started following that, that's when life got easier and
Yeah.
better, for me. Because I'm like, I'm not responsible for me. God
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he made me. He's responsible. I can't produce change in me. He can
Mhm.
though, if I
Yeah.
submit to him.
That's
Yeah.
good.
But but if I don't submit to him, I tie his hands. He can't do
Yeah.
Mhm.
anything if I
This
won't
is
allow
so
it.
true. This is so true.
Yeah.
We do. We were just talking about that this morning, how
Yeah.
we keep holding on to those things and we can't receive. Hey,
Yes.
how can he give us the
Yeah.
positive if we keep looking back to the negative?
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
keep holding on to those things, and another thing is finding our identity in him and not in
Yes.
comments or other people.
Yeah.
That was a
Yes.
very freeing thing for me.
Validation. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Hmm.
is
good.
finding it
Yeah.
straight from the Lord. Who are we in him? He says
Yeah.
we're
Yes.
loved. He says we're worthy. He
Yes.
says we're forgiven. Like he
Mhm.
says we're redeemed. Like when we
Absolutely.
realize that, and I think that was the one of the most freeing moments for me was
Yes.
I don't have to identify with what they're saying about me.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? I don't have
Yeah.
to live that way. I'm not a
Yeah.
title. I'm not, I'm not an addict. I'm
Mhm.
redeemed. I mean, I am
Absolutely.
redeemed. I am a child of God. He
Absolutely.
loves me despite my past because he's forgiven me from it. I mean,
Yes.
so finding
Yes.
my identity in him, I can remember, and I love these memories. I can remember when that happened for me, and it was
Yeah.
at the foundry. Um, and being broken, bringing those last chains being broken was day 17 of a fast that we had done with Church of the Highlands, and
Yeah.
like that is it. It is so like amazing to go back and remember. And someone told me that 17, like the number 17 means the end of a spiritual warfare. I had no idea, but it was on day
Really?
17. And I gave my
Okay.
testimony at my church, and one of the preachers was like, "You said that twice." And he said, so I looked it up, and he said, number 17 means an end of a spiritual warfare. And I'm like, that's even better. Like, I
That's
didn't know
cool.
it, isn't it?
That is so
I
cool that you
can
just said
remember.
that, Sonya. Because I looked at the clock this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so like one of the times I looked at it was 7:07, and I was like, oh, like sometimes when I'm looking at the clock, I'm thinking numbers now since
Yeah. Yeah.
since
Yeah.
2020 for real.
Yeah.
And so like I'm like, oh, it's 7:07, and then I thought the number of completion, because
Yeah.
a lot of people say that
Mm-hmm.
seven is the number
Yeah.
of completion. So when I came in the kitchen and uh the microwave a little while later in the microwave, and I noticed 7:17.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And I
Yeah.
thought, I was like, I wonder what 17. I thought that.
There
I
you
wonder what
go.
Did you
17
think that?
I did. And there you said it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like the
Isn't
end
that
of a
awesome? I love it.
yes.
That's
I
Yes.
love
so
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes. And
So
to
maybe
like,
this is the end
yeah,
of the spiritual warfare, whatever we're
yes.
battling,
Yes.
known
Yes.
or
Yes.
unknown. Because I feel like there's
Yeah.
always something, and a
Of
lot of
course.
times we're not. Sometimes we're aware of it, and sometimes we're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But
But isn't it great
like,
that the Lord protects us from a lot of that?
Oh,
oh
He
Like
my
protects
goodness.
having,
us
Yes.
definitely.
yeah, that's
Yes.
so great, isn't
Yes.
it? It's just
Yes.
Yes.
amazing. Mhm.
Yes.
But to
And
recognize it, I think it happens
yeah.
even more. His protection is even more like when we recognize it and when we welcome it.
Yeah. Yes. And like I ask him daily to protect me and my,
Yes.
me, my
Me
family, and
too.
everybody connected to me. And just to watch over us in every single
Mhm.
way, every single part of us. But I think tomorrow is the 25th.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
that's the day that I usually check in from that being kind of
Yeah.
Oh, look at there. Isn't it
checked
how
out.
This is
awesome
going
So
to
God
be the end
does?
yes,
of it, Donna, because we just spoke
yes,
it, completion
Yes.
and the end of a spiritual
yes,
battle. There you go.
Yes.
yes. So like that. So
So it's
even
it's no
it's
longer.
done. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
over with. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
over
Oh, in
with.
Jesus'
And
name.
yes, and I'm
Yeah.
looking at from a standpoint of even when March 14th rolls around 2025, is I'm not gonna have that.
No,
No.
Not gonna
No.
have
no,
that.
it's
Yeah,
not.
like I'm just I mean, this is so exciting. Like
Yes.
it is so exciting.
I
You
Because
know
love
what?
it.
We're
yeah,
breaking chains today.
yes,
Yes.
yes, like totally breaking them. Because I don't even know why I had brought that up about that season of life for me. I really don't. But
Because the Lord had a word for you, Donna. That's why.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
he did. Yes, because I sure did. When I saw that clock, I was like, so it's 7:17. Wonder what that
I
means.
love it. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you, Lord. Thank you
Well,
so
you
much.
know what? And too, Miss Donna, prior to getting on here, I called Sonya this morning and we were just talking about maybe this is good for me. I feel like I'm getting some things I need from this too today.
Yeah.
I mean, I always do, but just to end the cycles, chapters in our life.
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like I said that this morning when we were talking, Sonya.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
feel like
Yeah.
I needed that. I needed
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like God is really like, let's close some chapters. let,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's close some chapters, because I loved
Yes.
how I feel like God maybe was like using you, Sonya, this morning. Like, let's live in the present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's close some chapters.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yes. And I feel like I'm gonna write this down when we're done that this is the end of
Mhm.
of that cycle, because really was a cycle of grief, of
Yeah.
grief of 30. It started 30 years ago,
Yeah.
you know um and like that with the passing of my grandmother on March the 14th of 1994, and then the birth of my second son August 25th 1994.
Uh,
So like that's the reason what, like, when she died I
yeah.
shut off. When he was
Yeah.
born I had to cut back on.
Yeah.
um And so it's like so every year that was like a cycle for me. And before 2016, I didn't understand it. I didn't know. I would just know, and I would say sometimes, to people, I just feel like I'm in this vicious cycle every year, around this time every year, but you know, I don't know what it is because I didn't connect it to, her death until I was studying.
Yeah.
I had asked the Lord to some months prior to help me to be more present in the moment because I felt like I was never present in the moment that either I was thinking about yesterday or or tomorrow or something, and so I never really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed the day. And so in that, I was getting ready to study my Bible, and I had gotten all my stuff together, was down in my den, and getting ready to study. And my mind goes to Monday. So this was on Saturday, March the 12th. So my
Mm-hmm.
mind goes to Monday. And so the first time that did, I was like, okay, I'm studying here. So in people who know me will know
Mm-hmm.
that I was diagnosed with an inattentive ADD or in my early 20s. So anytime that I set out to do something, my mind is going to shift to something else a lot of the
Yeah.
time. So I'm like, what is it about Monday? So I go, okay, we're not thinking about Monday. We're studying. It's Saturday. We're studying. So it happens again. My mind goes to Monday, and I'm like, dang it, what is going on Monday? So one of my cousins, her birthday is March 14th. So I was like, okay, let me just write a note to remember to tell her happy birthday on her birthday. So I write the note, and I'm like, okay, we're studying our Bible. This is it. So I get into it a little bit. Third time, Monday comes to mind. So now I'm a little ticked off because I'm like, Jesus, I'm supposed to be present in the moment, and my
Yeah.
mind's going to Monday. Why does my mind keep going to Monday? And then he says to me, it'll be 22 years to the day that your grandmother passed. Oh yeah, it was Monday, March the 14th, 1994. And I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, you didn't think you would survive that. And I said, oh yeah, no, because me and my brother used to tell my grandmother, a lot that grandma, something happened to you, we'd have to go too. And she'd go, no, no, babies, you'd have to live. And we go, you understand, you
Mm-hmm.
know, something
No.
happens to you,
Yeah.
we have to go too. And she's
Yeah.
like, oh, no, you'll have to live. Um, and so I'm like, oh yeah, like we literally didn't think that we would survive if she died. And so he was like, you survived it, but you're not thriving. And I thought, whoa, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I haven't been thriving. And I was like, oh, especially in these months. I was like, that's why they sucked so bad. Like,
Yeah.
that's why between March and August, my life sucked so bad. Even though I had big events, during that time, like my birthday's in June. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not even checked in for my birthday for real.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man. And he was like, grief. A part of you died when she died. And I was like, oh, like I really didn't recognize that. Um, but in that moment, I was like, okay, Lord, help me to help show me how to not check out of life,
Mm-hmm.
show me how to live through, through those moments. And we started doing that. And then April 5th, April 10th, May 5th, and May the I think it was the 10th or 12th of 2021 happened. And we lost, there was 4 family members that we lost that year. So I'm back at grief.
You're back
like,
there.
and I'm back there, and it's um overwhelming, like
Of
overwhelming.
course.
So it's like, man, Lord, and all of them were under the age of 45. So that really, like Jesus,
That's
um,
hard.
yeah. So after hearing about multiple, it's like, Lord, like we can't, like please, just this, can we not lose anybody else?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And so like that hit. But this year, so I did okay, 2022, 2023, but 2020 this year, it was just a little just rough, it was just rough. I felt like I was like, I know I'm checked out. Like, you're checked out, but you can't, it's nothing, you're not really finding the ways to check back in. Have you ever been there? Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah. So I'm like, Lord, I know, like, so I recognized it in July. I was like, I've been really checked out here. And I was like, why is that? Like, Lord, what, like, been doing so good up until this point to not really check out. But what he alerted me to was that we like like my brother was killed in that time of 2021. And so
Oh.
what we were supposed to, the trial for the person accused was supposed to begin on April 15th of this year, after we've had a few letdowns of it supposing to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that because it was 5 days after he was killed, it was what the Lord showed me, and that was he was like, it was to you, it was like he was being killed all over again.
Yeah.
So it was like the wound was,
Yeah.
um, was fresh. And so I was like, oh, I said, okay, so that is the reason behind, me feeling
Yeah.
so, so checked out. But I realized earlier this week I was slowly like checking back in.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I feel more like I'm checking back in, and I'm like, oh, Sunday's coming. The 25th is coming.
Yeah.
So
Like,
you
so I
can check
noticed,
back in.
yeah. So I noticed that last night. I was like, the 25th is the 25th is coming. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Sunday. And I was like, oh, that's why this week I've started,
Yeah.
slowly checking back in and perking back up. So I'm like, I'm thankful, I'm so grateful and thankful that he's taught me those things and showed me that in that season. But now I know 17 is over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
That
over.
that
It's
spiritual
over.
warfare is over.
I
Yes.
feel like
Yes.
grief is a normal process and can be healthy,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
think the enemy will use that as well as a negative to hold us captive.
Yes.
We get it in our
Yes.
Oh,
mind
that's
that,
good.
yeah, I mean, he will.
Yes.
That's healthy to grieve. Like we have to grieve, I feel
Yes.
like,
Right.
but
Yes.
he will allow those things and he'll hold you captive, but that's no more.
Yeah.
No
No
more.
more.
We're going to speak it in
Yes.
the name of Jesus. No
Yeah,
Yes.
more.
It's a done
I
deal.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
breaking some chains off today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to end
Yeah.
some cycles, whether that's related to grief or being present. I think God
Yeah.
works in mysterious ways, and so
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah.
he's given me some
Yeah.
clarification today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me
Good.
too. Yes.
Good. Good. That's
This was this
awesome.
was this was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He said
Yeah.
it was going to be amazing before we started.
This is
So
true.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you, Sonya.
Yes. Thank y'all
Yes.
so
Thank
much.
you so much
Yes.
for coming on.
Yes.
Yes.
It's been
And
really, really, really good.
Yes.
and keep shining brightly. They're gonna keep asking,
Yes.
Yeah.
and
I know.
you just keep telling them.
Well, the Lord says that He'll prepare a table before us. in the
Yes.
presence of
You've
our
always
enemies. And
said that.
Absolutely.
I know, whether it
Yes.
be like the enemies of our emotional whatever, the anxiety and the
Yes.
depression and whatever, like he'll give us joy and peace, and all that's on my table. And
Yes.
someone taught a class at the Foundry with, you have to stand up and say, "There's no room for that at my table."
They both
Because
right.
if
Yes.
my table's full of the fruits of the spirit, or I try that, so there's no room for that other, and there's no room for
Yes.
excess grief in your life, Donna. There's just not.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
just not.
Yes.
So yeah, there's no room for that at my table.
No. And
Yeah.
that's where I was like, Lord, what is up? Like
Yes,
I was,
that's
that's
good.
when I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like what is happening here? This is we learned about this in 2016. There's no reason,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
2024
Yeah.
that I should be feeling like this. But
Yeah.
he's like, no, it was, it was just it was a minor setback,
For a major
but
comeback.
for a major comeback,
Yeah.
and it's over. Like it's over.
It's
Yeah.
over. It's
So
done.
yes. So next year during this time, it's gonna be a totally different feel. Totally
Yeah.
different. Yeah, that season's gone. That's
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
And
It's
it's
done.
gonna be a whole new, I don't know. I feel like with each year that progresses, there's just God has he always, it's like something else comes that into my life that is such an unexpected blessing.
Yeah.
That he continues to show me, and I continue to grow through.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what
And
we're
he
gonna
will
do.
continue to do that because that's just who he is. I
Yes.
mean,
I
that
love
is just
that.
who he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I was just telling somebody this the other day. I said, like I have to stay connected to him. That's first of all.
Yes.
Because I'm like, he is the source of my life. He's just that. And I'm like, if I'm gonna I'm gonna constantly be learning and growing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and the day that I can't learn anything else,
Yeah.
that's the day that I probably need to go on and take a nap.
Yeah.
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 The dirt one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
pretty much bury me because it's over.
Yeah.
If I can't learn and grow. And so I'm so grateful, to him for his love for us, for his kindness towards us, and just his power in us.
Commitment.
Yes,
I mean,
his commitment to us.
we're just not used to that as humans.
Yeah.
Is that the whole unconditional love and
Yes.
commitment that he has to his people? Like,
Yes.
it's
His
really
mind
nice.
is
And
made
and you know what I found is I'm not able to give that away unless it's present and I accept it from him. I'm not able to
Yeah.
give commitment and unconditional love, and and share the fruits of the spirit and all of those things unless I accept it, and it's and I practice it right in my own life.
Yeah.
So if we pray
Absolutely.
for it and he answers it, and then we get in that spot and we question, I have to remind myself,
Yeah.
Lord, you led me here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
led
led
me
me
here
here,
knowing-
Lord.
Yeah, where we have,
I'll say I
and-
prayed for this. I gotta be grateful.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, or we prayed for this. Yeah, or Lord,
Yeah.
I am most certain that this is the exact path that you led me on.
Yes.
So why am I questioning it now? If I had reassurance then why am I saying why or how or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just have to remind myself I have to do it every day, y'all. You led me here. This is you led me here. I know this was you.
Yes, this is what you desire from me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, every day I ask him, I'm like, okay, I'm up. So apparently there is something that you desire for me to do, and just show me what it is.
Yes.
Show me where you're working and show me my part in it.
Yes.
I don't want to know anybody else's part but mine.
Yes.
So like, just show me what my part is. Show me what to do, when to do, and how to do it.
Yes.
And I also ask him to tell me what to say, when to say, and how to say it.
Yes.
I'm like, without that,
yeah.
Because I'm like, I could say some stuff. It won't be helpful to anybody.
Yeah. This
I
We
is
say a
always
true.
lot.
want to say some stuff.
Yeah, I said some stuff. But is it going to be beneficial to
That's why,
anyone
Yeah.
yeah, that's
involved?
why I called Sonya and said, "This is what I'm gonna tell you this because
Yeah,
I can't say what I really.
I
I'll tell
know.
you what I really want to
I'll
say,
tell
and then I'm
you
gonna
what I
practice."
Yes, yes. Well,
like. Then you
we
tell
do
me what
that.
I need to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like this is what
I'm gonna
I
tell you
want
what
to
I
say.
want to say.
So
But
now,
now
Yeah.
can you help me
Yeah.
help
yes,
myself at this point?
yes,
Or I'll be like, Hope, I mean, tell me that I'm overreacting or overthinking, or that this is really not happening like
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Yes, what is this?
Yes,
What is this
yes.
and how do I need to respond to it? Like I always recall at okay, is this a reaction or a response? Because a
yes,
Yes.
reaction doesn't take any thought. I don't have to think about react.
Yeah.
Responding though, I have to respond. I have
Yeah.
to think before I can respond.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if I
what
want to
I
react, yeah, the
what I have
automatic is a reaction.
is when because it's a practice, right? So when I do find myself just like with my kids or whatever, when I'm overstimulated, I'm reacting, and I just mouth off things as I do. If I find myself where I don't feel like I've responded the way that I should, I mean, I just say, look, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Look,
Yeah.
given the situation,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. I mean, usually it's minor, simple things, but I have found that when I correct those things, that it sets it's, I don't know, it's a different environment.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
because sometimes we don't always get it right,
Right.
Mhm.
especially with parenting or marriage or whatever, even whatever it may be. I feel like I have more of I feel like I can control my tongue better with other people. It's more challenging at home because, right, we're with the people we love, so we can say what we want
Mhm.
to say, we feel
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
So if I do find myself where, I'm just, I'm tired, I'm ill, I might be hungry, whatever, and I'm not, I'm given a nasty attitude because I feel like I
Yeah.
can, because they're gonna love me anyways,
Yeah.
right? I have tried to just say, you know, I'm sorry, I was ill earlier,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it tends to just kind of, it changes the mood when you just
Mhm.
acknowledge that, hey, I had a bad day. And I
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
with my kids. And now I can be like, well, they're ill, so just let them be. We
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
expect things out of our kids that we can't practice ourselves.
Ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's like they can have the moment. Let
Yeah,
them,
they
yeah,
can
like you
they
said,
can have
just
attitude.
let
They
them
can,
be.
I
Yeah.
grew up where it was like
Mhm.
almost like with the a parent or authority figure, like you wasn't supposed to. But I'm realizing now, like they wake up and they wake up in bad moods, just like I wake up in a bad mood at
Mhm.
times.
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
giving
Yeah.
them that grace to Cooper the other morning. He was just and I was like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
No, I don't, it could not have been anything. He just woke up and he was ill. So
Yeah.
he's like, make my water bottle. And I'm like, okay.
Like, all right.
Usually I would have been like, go make your own water bottle, son. You are old enough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I make his water bottle and we go about our day because, sometimes we just need that extra,
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
attentiveness and
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's like I think it as kids especially sometimes get just there's so much is expected of them,
Oh,
and
Mhm.
that we don't even expect from, like you said, from ourselves.
yeah.
And it's like, well, like I remember when growing up, you like, well, what you got to be upset about? You're a kid, you don't have any
Yeah.
responsibilities. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? I have to go to school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a responsibility. And who knows? Maybe me and my teacher don't get along great.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
I just don't know how to tell you that me and my teacher don't get
Mhm.
along great,
Yeah.
or whatever. But it's like, no, like what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
it's acknowledging that you know, what I found too is like with Bentley, you know, I'm like, God, sometimes it's just so much. It's just these emotions. It's like, just let her be, let her, you know, just like me, my emotions get the best of me sometimes. And then I realize it. So you know, they do have a lot. You know, we all
Yeah.
do. We all are trying to just balance, you know, life or whatever. So just giving them the grace
Mm-hmm.
and with
Yeah.
whoever we encounter,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
is like we give ourselves grace too.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we feel better when we do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
When it's just like it didn't hurt you to make the water bottle.
yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
y'all,
You
yeah,
know,
and
instead of
y'all
just
went
being
about
like,
your day.
yeah,
Yeah, like instead of having a tug of war about it, we just
Yeah.
yeah,
and we all went about our day peacefully. Like,
Yep.
okay, let me help you the best way that I can. If
yeah,
Yep.
it's making your water bottle, let's do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because at times, you know, it's like that balance of, you know, I want to teach them to be independent and to do things on their own, but like they do know how to do things on their own. So if they're
Yeah,
sometimes they just want your
yeah,
help, and just like I
yeah,
sometimes still want my parents help. I
Yeah.
like to be
yeah.
baby too, and I'm 35. So
Yeah, well, it's like sometimes I need a little help over here. Like
yeah, I mean, my mom is still like, you know, she still babies me when I go home, and honestly, I expect it.
yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, like give me a hug. Like tell me something, But
yeah,
teach me something. Let me know
yeah.
something. Yeah. I love it. This is
Well, it's
amazing.
been good. Thank you so much, Sonya, for
Thank
coming on.
you.
I love you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
Um,
you.
I'm so happy that you did this. If y'all don't know, Sonya is not on social media. She is much smarter than we are. Not just playing. So I'm just really happy that she did this
Yes.
for
Thank you
me.
so much.
um,
Yes.
and now
Yes.
I'm just happy that you did. I feel like it's been really great, and I've really gotten a lot from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Yes.
enjoyed every
Yes.
minute of it. It's
Me
nice to
too. Love
connect
you,
again,
Sonia.
Donna. I love
Yes.
you.
Yes. So of course we'll stay in touch.
Yes.
Um
Yes.
and good, good decision about the socials. When sometimes that's what we need to not be
Well,
Hmm.
I took a
stepping over
fast
it.
about 3 years ago from social media because I noticed it took a lot of my time when I could be
Hmm.
putting my time into other things, reading and things I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I complained all the time, Lord, why don't I have time? And so I was convicted of that. And I never got back on it. I really didn't
Yeah.
like the person I was when I looked at it because I became
Hmm.
very judgmental and negative and couldn't see positive things out of it. I felt a lot of it was fake. And you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I didn't like the person I became by
Yeah.
looking at it. So I gave it up and never looked back.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the thing of it is like what's gonna best suit you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what it has to come down to. If it's not about anybody else
This is true.
but us.
You.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
whatever you need to do to I love the scripture of it's in the Bible. I know it's in there because I've seen it. Um, as far as it depends on us, me, to live at
Mhm.
peace with everyone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, he didn't say as far as it depends on them. He says as far as
Yeah.
it depends on me. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever I need to do to live at peace with everyone. So
Oh,
rather
that's
than
good.
Hmm. Yeah.
disconnecting or what
Yeah.
what have you, then that's what it is. So yeah, good job in following his instructions, my friend.
Yeah, my husband, I never thought I would meet anybody that didn't do social media, but he doesn't either. So
Yeah.
it's like he never has. And I don't
I'm
know.
telling you, that meeting was biblical.
It's just
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
God was all in
it's
that.
really awesome. They are I'll give Eric, he has the same name as my Eric. So I'll when we're talking, I'll say my Eric and she'll say her Eric. Um
Yeah.
because we both have Erics. Um
Yes.
but yeah, he's definitely he's been good. I think he's been so good for Sonya, even though, you know, it's anything starting off, it's anything is challenging, but I think it's been challenging in the best way. I
Yeah.
will tell you that, Sonya. I've
Yeah.
seen like just so much more life back into your life, and it's such in a positive way.
Yeah.
Um and I love that you have this new life, and you have Eric who adores her, like adores her.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's so good. He's a good man, and he's I like you said, it was definitely it was meant to be. And I love watching I just love watching this new life of hers and her chicken farm. She loves her chicken.
Who knew? Who knew?
I
I
love
thought the
the.
farm would be so great. We were talking last night, and he said, "Are you going to tell him about your chickens?"
Yeah, she has a lot of
Yes,
wait, let's say, how many chickens do you have now?
37 for as of
37.
now, and I just started out. Yeah,
Really?
37 and 5 guineas and 4 ducks, like at my
Oh my
house.
goodness. Oh my
But like
word.
he has cattle and we have horses and donkeys and I don't know, pigs, hogs. He's a hog farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
goats and
Yes.
Like she's really home. Like she's I've never isn't it funny how God works?
it
Because I was
is.
like, I don't know if I would have ever pictured, because she'll call me and she'll like have her boots on and she'll be like with the hogs. And I'm like, this is I love it. Like I'm learning so much. And
Yeah.
I love that, because God just works in like so just mysterious ways, and like to see just you in just that different light.
Yeah.
It's really cool to watch.
Well, he's changed my life. He's changed my
Yes,
heart and my loves. And I mean, he said he'd give us new
he
loves.
Yeah.
has.
He
Yeah.
did. And so he has proven himself faithful in that aspect too. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew?
That is beautiful.
It is.
Absolutely
It is.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So thank you again. We love you,
Thank you.
and
I love you.
you are welcome, and come back anytime.
Sure. It's
Anytime.
been
Yeah.
fun.
Uh that and we can just talk about the goodness of God
Yeah.
and the light that he continues to shine in and through us.
Mhm.
And so till the next time, the
Yeah.
Hope podcast watchers,
Yeah.
I know you're out there.
Yeah.
And if you're not out there, come join us.
Yes.
And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.